Morning, everybody. You guys want to stand up with us? Sing out, I was lost with a broken heart. I was lost with a broken heart. Pick me up, now I'm set apart. From the ash I am born again. Forever safe in the Savior's hands. You are more than my words could say. Follow you, Lord, for all my days. Fix my eyes, following your ways. Forever free in unending grace. Let your love be the shining light, breaking chains that were holding me. Sent your son down and set me free. Everything of this world of faith, pressing on till I see your face. I will live that your will be done. Won't stop till your kingdom comes. You guys can have a seat.
Whoa! Who are you? I'm you. How are you me? I'm from the future.
What?
Shh. There are no time for questions. I have to tell you about this app that will change everything.
What?
You can watch services, you can follow along with sermon notes, you can register for events, and so much more. I have to leave you now. Godspeed, handsome. Don't forget to turn on notifications.
Hey, we're here at Walmart. We've got our supply list, and we're gonna put a backpack together for the backpack drive. Which ones are we? Okay, so here we are. We've got our backpack all loaded and ready to go. We even bought some extra things because we just thought they were cool. We got highlighters and calculators and stuff like that. We built this for a total of $16.44. And the best part is it's not even on sale. So really, you're gonna be able to get 2 for $20 if you just look around for the deals. And that's such a great way to send a couple kids in our town to school with some dignity and all the supplies they need to have an awesome school year.
You guys stand with us as we continue to worship together. Of the darkness, you're the light that guides me through. Eyes are on you. You are near to the broken, the weak find their strength in you. Eyes are on you. In the madness, you're the peace that calms my soul. Eyes are on you. You bring hope to the hopeless. You're the love that won't let go. Eyes are on you. We lift our eyes to you, where our help comes from. Our hope is found in you. Jesus, Lord of all, we lift our eyes to you. Yeah, exalted one, exalted one. In the midst of the darkness, you're the light that guides me through. Eyes are on you. You are near to the broken, the weak find their strength in you. Eyes are on you. We lift our eyes to you, where our help comes from. Our hope is found in you. Jesus, Lord of all, we lift our eyes to you. Exalted one, exalted me apart. I need you to open my eyes, see that you're shaping my life, and all I am, I surrender. Give me faith to trust what you said, that you're good, your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I need you to soften my heart, break me apart. I need you to pierce through the dark, cleanse every part of me. All I am, I surrender. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good, your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I may be weak, your spirit strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. I may be weak, your spirit strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good, your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Oh, give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good, your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I may be weak, your spirit strong in me. My flesh may fail, my God, you never will. 'Cause I may be weak, your spirit strong in me. My flesh may fail, my God, you never will. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good, your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Sing out, I may be weak, 'cause I may be weak. Cause to go into a time here this morning called communion. And what this is how we choose to remember and how we choose to honor the sacrifice that Jesus made for each and every one of us. How we are reminded that we are so deeply loved that our God chose to take on flesh, to come in human form, to allow himself to be brutally executed, to be murdered in the most humiliating way possible for each and every one of us, so that we could live life to the fullest, so that he could reach out his hand and invite us into this adventure called life. He could pull us into this beautiful, massive, expansive kingdom that he is building, and he has invited us to come right alongside him. So if you're unfamiliar with what this looks like, some trays are going to come up and on the aisle with a little wafer and a little cup of juice. Take each of those and take them on your own time. We're not going to come back up and do it all together or anything like that. But just hold them and allow yourself to express gratitude in whatever way you feel best. And then take those elements as you see fit, and then we'll be good. If you've never done this before, you've never participated in communion with us, what you're going to hear is people shattering those little plastic cups all around the room. And it's this symbol that it is finished, that the work of Jesus on the cross was the final word, that death has been defeated, that sin has no victory, and it's this symbol that it is finished. And if all of this just seems weird and you're uncomfortable and you don't want to take part in it, pass it around to the next person. There's no shame in that. No one's going to ask you to leave. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to follow up with you unless you want that. Just pass it around to the next person. There's no shame in that at all. So let's pray, and then we'll pass that together. God, we thank you that at the beginning of creation you called us good. And at our deepest core we are good, God. And that you saw the position we were in. You saw the helplessness that we were in. And you decided that we were worthy of the sacrifice, that we were worthy of all of the pain that you would go through. And God, we thank you for entering into this life, for experiencing loss and disappointment and pain and suffering. All for us, God. Thank you that you chose to bleed and die for us. And in your name we pray. Amen. I've been out of town for 17 days, and it's been glorious. But I'm so happy to be back here with you all, and while I was gone, we started this Nonsense One Hit Wonder series. So without further ado, here's your weekly One Hit Wonder. Now and then I think of when we were together, like when you said you felt so happy you could die. Told myself that you were right for me, felt so lonely in your company. But that was love and it's an ache I still remember. You can get addicted to a certain kind of sadness, like reservation to the end, always the end. When we found that we could not make sense, and you said that we could still be friends, but I admit that I was glad when it was over. You didn't have to carry me out, kinda like it never happened, that we were nothing. Guess that I don't need your love. You treat me like a stranger and that feels so wrong. You didn't have to stoop so low, tell your friends collect your records and then change your number. Guess that I don't need that now. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now and then I think of all the times you screwed me over. Always me believing it was always something that I'd done. But I don't wanna live that way, reading into every word you say. You said that you could let it go, and I wouldn't catch you hung up on somebody that you used to know. You didn't have to carry me out, kinda like it never happened, and that we were nothing. Guess that I don't need your love. You treat me like a stranger and that feels so wrong. You didn't have to stoop so low, tell your friends collect your records and then change your number. Guess that I don't need that now. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know.
Yeah, let's give it up for the band one more time. It's so good to have Wade back. Yeah. Man, I love this series. We did this series a couple years ago, 2 years ago, One Hit Wonders, and we just have fun during the summer, right? This is just kind of, Andrew couldn't say this last week because he's bald, but this is just a time for us to let our hair down and have some fun, right? You know, I love the summer series, One Hit Wonders, and I love this week's song, Somebody That I Used to Know, because there's a story behind this song, right? It's clearly about a breakup, but there's a story about this, and I think about the breakups that I went through, and they're not fun, right? And you've been through breakups, or you know somebody who's been through some really bad breakups. Maybe you're that lucky person who never had a breakup, and you just met that person right away. Good for you. Good for you. The rest of us weren't so lucky, but I just start to think, what did I do wrong that caused this breakup? What did I do wrong? What did I do in this situation that caused the breakup? That's where I go. I want to hold on to that thought, that's not a word. I want to hold on to that thought for a second and just say, hey, good morning. Good morning. Hey, I'm so pumped that you're here. My name's Jason. I'm on staff here at Discovery, and I just really want you to know how welcome you are in this place. Whether you've been here plenty of times, or you're joining us online, or it's your first time, you are so welcome in this place, and you need to know something about this. This is why you're welcome in this place, because we recognize what we do is messy. Okay, I'm not talking about the toilets or like the floors when you walked in. We clean those at least once a year, right? No, I'm just kidding. We clean those every week, right? The building's not messy, but we are, right? We all have a story. You have stuff that's happened in your life that you're probably not proud of, that you're ashamed of, and me too. I've hurt people, and I've been hurt by people, and usually I end up hurting the people that I'm closest to. Does that sound familiar? Well, that's what I want to talk about today, is why. Why do I continue to hurt the people that I'm closest to? Why do I continue to do things that I hate? About a week ago, we had 26 students and leaders come back from a mission trip. We went to Chicago, and the mission trip was awesome, and I had these high expectations for what we were going to do. 26 of us in Chicago. We're gonna serve Chicago, and it's going to be great, and I had grand plans for every day and what we were going to do. And every single day, my plans were thwarted. My plans were interrupted. I was disrupted, and God had something different, and it was good. And looking back on it, I can say that was a great mission trip. But what was I feeling in the moment? I was getting frustrated because I was being interrupted, and I was so uncomfortable. Every day was more uncomfortable than the last. And it just built and built and built, and I got angry. And our team of leaders, Kirsten, my wife, was on that team of leaders with us. And we decided that we were going to do something really cool for our students. We were going to speak some truth into them. We had words to speak over them. And so I kind of gave our wrap-up talk for the week. And then I was going to go right into speaking words over our students. And she just spoke up a little bit, and she was trying to help me, and I needed it. I needed the help in the moment. And she said, hey, don't forget to pray before you do this part. And I don't know what took over me, but something inside of me snapped. Okay, last day, we hadn't slept a whole lot. I was just done. I'd been interrupted so much, and here's my wife interrupting me? No, this isn't going to happen. Okay, so I get mad. We finish the whole thing, and we're done, and I walk out. I don't want anybody to see how mad I really was. And Kirsten follows me, and she says, is everything okay? And I said, no, everything's not okay. And then I proceeded to not yell, but inform her of all the things that she had done wrong. And I had some hard words. And as I was saying it, after I was done saying it, every single thing that I said, I wished that I could take back. Okay, and we've worked through that, and we've talked through that, and we understand where we are. And as much as I love Jesus, as much as I love God, and as much as I'm trying to be this person who I want to be, I keep doing the things that I don't want to do. I keep hurting people that are closest to me. Does that sound familiar? Why do I keep doing the things that I hate? Let's go there. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into 3 different chapters, okay? We're going to start in John 10. We're going to meander back down to Genesis 3 and then go to John 9. I promise it'll make sense as we go along, but that's where we're going to be. If you don't have a Bible, we'd love to give you one as a gift so you can follow along with us and you can take that home with you. If you can't reach it right now, they're on the back tables. You can grab one on your way out. You can also download our app. It's a great way to stay connected and then also follow along with everything I have to say. And then, of course, everything will be on the screen. So let's jump into this thing. And the only thing you need to know heading into this passage of John 10, we're going to be in verse 7. The only thing you need to know is that Jesus is teaching some Pharisees something. Okay, and so he's teaching them by telling them this story. Let's jump in. Verse 7 says, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Okay, so there's these Pharisees, and he's trying to teach them something. And I don't know about you, but I love telling stories as a part of teaching and bringing people into it. It just gives us a fuller picture of what's going on. So he tells this story, and he says, we are the sheep. You're following the shepherd. The shepherd is him. It's Jesus. He's the shepherd. He's the gate. But there's these people who are trying to lead you away from the shepherd. He's saying Pharisees, teachers of the law, religious leaders, there's people who are trying to lead you away, and I think you are some of the people. I think he's saying you are the ones that are leading away the sheep. Why are you doing that? And when I get prepared for a message, I love to do word studies. I just study. I spend a couple days just studying, and what I study usually doesn't come into the message. It just informs what I'm going to say. I don't include word studies, but I really wanted to include this one word study this time. And it comes in verse 9. Jesus says, I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. And the word saved, in my mind, I don't know about you, but it has some pretty negative connotations, right? Growing up, I used to hear you need to be saved in order to get to heaven. I see these turn or burn messages. You have to accept Jesus so that you can go to heaven or you're going to go to hell. And I have this idea of saved means you have to accept Jesus so that one day you can go to heaven. Right? I don't know about you, but that's what I've always seen the word saved as. So I really wanted to dig into what that word meant. And this Greek word is sozo, okay? It comes from the Greek word sozo, which literally means to save. But going deeper, it means not just to be saved, it means, and this particular conjugation, sothestia, is only seen 13 times. And there's 5 different ways that it's used. But it means delivered safe and sound, okay? And the 5 times that it's used, this is what it means. It means delivered out of danger into safety. So you're in a burning building, someone comes in and rescues you so that you have life after that. Or it means somebody, it's used to say somebody recovered from illness, okay? When you get through an illness and you come out on the other side, you have antibodies that help you fight future illnesses, and you can have life fuller. You can have life again after that. You come through a bad storm, or you've survived a war, if you've been acquitted at court. All of these things are something that you're rescued from so that you can go and live, right? That you're rescued from so that you can have a better life going forward. You're rescued through this bad storm. It's kind of like the famous theologian. I like famous theologians. Kelly Clarkson, she said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Right? You're rescued from something. She's a famous theologian, trust me. Okay? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You are rescued from something. You are saved so that you can go and have life more to the fullest. And that's what Jesus is saying here, okay? Jesus cares. Jesus cares about our present. I want to say this right. Jesus cares about our present battle and not just our future victory. Right? Jesus cares about our present battle, what's going on in our life right now, and not just the hope of heaven that's in the future for us. So we're on this mission trip, and I'm being disrupted, and a lot of things are going on. But the first day, I started us off hard. Okay, to save money, I chose a flight that left Denver at 7 a.m. in the morning. Whoops, not smart. So we had to be here at 3:30 in the morning, and like nobody slept, right? So we're here at 3:30 in the morning. We spend all day traveling. When we fly into O'Hare, we have to take a train into the city and then a train back out of the city because we were staying way up north. And then we have to walk to the YWAM base. We don't get there until after like 3 or 3:30, and we still hadn't eaten lunch because there was nowhere to stop as we're on these trains. So we're hungry, and we grab food, we put our bags down, and then we go straight into ministry. And I knew something was off. Okay, we still did great work, and we did some awesome things. I've got a couple pictures. We went to this park, and we started serving hot dogs and water and chips. And the park, the community that we went to, this is a picture of us doing what we did. We stayed in Rogers Park, and right next to Rogers Park, there's this area where over 77 countries worth of people are represented. Okay, refugees and people who have moved here and into this area of Chicago. And when you go into this park, it's crazy. Everybody's in their tight little groups, and everybody's doing something completely different, and there's no same playing field at all. So our mission for this day was to go out and just invite people to come have a hot dog and just give them free food, just love on them a little bit, ask them their story and care for them, and then pray for them. Okay, and we sent our teams out to do that, and I knew something was off. And it continued to be off the next day. We went to the soup kitchen, and we were preparing soup, and we were preparing food for homeless, and I've got a picture of part of our team serving there, and it was awesome. It was good, but we started to fight with ourselves a little bit. And I realized that I had just put our team into a battle, and I had said, go care for other people, go care for their story, go pray for them. And we'd prayed them up, we'd prayed the trip up, but I hadn't cared for them the way that I was asking them to care for other people. I hadn't cared about their present battle, so I called an audible. And we just stopped. And we took half the group, and we just started sharing story. We started getting on the same page, knowing for each other, because we have to care about our present battle that we're living in, right? There's stuff that's going on in our story right now that's hard, that before we can go and take care of other people, we have to address that stuff in our present battle. And the battle is crazy, right? Because right after this verse, it says Jesus came to save. He came to rescue us and pull us out so that we could live life to the fullest. Right after that, it says, there's a thief who's coming to steal, kill, and destroy. And I would use one other word. He's coming to use. He's coming to use you to bring other people down and steal you, steal your heart away, kill us. And what does that look like? What does that look like? Kirsten was talking with one of our students who got baptized this year, and she was telling her about spiritual warfare and trying to pray for her and wanting to protect her heart. And so she said the word spiritual warfare, and the student said, "Is that witchcraft? What is that?" Right? And I think back on what my understanding of spiritual warfare was up till like 3 or 4 years ago. And I saw spiritual warfare as this group of angels and demons that are fighting this epic battle around me. And they've got battle axes and swords, and they're trying to take a swing at me. And it could be that. I don't know. We can't see the visible world, but it's probably not that. You know what I think spiritual warfare is and where the battle that we're living in? I think it's so much more subtle than just the bad stuff. I think it's so much more subtle than that. It's bigger than that. Let me give you an example, okay? A few months ago, I went to this great place up in the mountains. It was a boot camp with one of our partners, Ransomed Heart, and I learned some good stuff up there. God had some amazing things for my heart, some things that I desperately needed to hear and be encouraged in and be challenged on. And it was great. I was coming back to this place, coming back to my wife and my family, just pumped and ready to love on them. And so one of the things that they asked us to do while we were up there was turn off our phones so that we could disconnect from the world and connect with God and what He has for us. So I did that. And for 3 days, I had my phone off. It was awesome. It was great, right? And I turned my phone back on the morning that I was on the morning I was coming back, and Kirsten's on the other end, and I'm telling her, hey, this is when you need to pick me up. And I could tell she hadn't slept the night. I could tell she'd been crying. I could tell she was scared. And I said, what's going on? And she went on to tell me that the night before she had come home from a women's ministry event here at church, and there was this guy who had tailed her pretty much all the way home. And she was scared, and he was riding right up close to the back of our car. He pulled into the street that she turned onto, and she was trying to make some turns to kind of lose him, and she just went straight into the garage, and he sat there across the street from our house for about an hour. And she's thinking, I'm alone, Jason's gone. And so she starts calling me, okay? She's thinking, maybe his phone will be on, God will have him turn his phone on, and I'll get through to him. I don't answer because my phone's off. Her dad, who's a volunteer police officer here in Springs, she tried to call him, and he wasn't available. Her two brothers, nobody was there for her. And the dog's freaking out. She's freaking out more. And the whole night, she was in turmoil. So I come back from this great high, spiritual high, good stuff for my heart, and I put all of that aside, and I forget all about it because my wife has been exposed to this crazy thing, and she's terrified. Right, and we got to do some heart work with her, and I have to care for her. And everything that was good was completely gone. Okay, and I could have used the good things that I got from over here to talk to Kirsten and encourage her, but I didn't. I just let that all go because something was wrong in my life. And so that's what it is. That's what the battle is. That's what the enemy wants us to do. He wants us to take everything good that God is teaching us, is showing us, is revealing to us, and he wants us to put it aside and rely on ourselves and care for the people around us without getting rescue in the middle of our battle. That's what spiritual warfare is. It's subtle, and it's this maniacal, just kind of picking away at you. See, if the enemy isn't trying to kill us quickly. If he wants to kill us slowly and just make us ineffective. If he can just make us ineffective, if he can rob us of the good things that God is showing us in our hearts, then he's won and he makes us ineffective. That's what the battle looks like for me. That's the enemy's plan. And see, Jesus is the good shepherd. He wants to care for his sheep. But Satan's been playing at this thing for a long time. In fact, he's been playing at this thing, at this battle, trying to lie to us and lead us away from the good stuff that Jesus has for us. He's been playing at this since day one. Genesis chapter 3, okay, Adam and Eve. You guys know God creates Adam and Eve. He creates Eden, and then this happens. Okay, Genesis chapter 3, the man and woman are together. verse 1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die." "You'll not certainly die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." And when the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and she ate it. Right, what's the message in this? God, what is the enemy saying to Eve? He's saying, God lied to you. All that good stuff that God had for you, it's not true. In fact, he's trying to keep you from being like him. He's trying to keep you from the knowledge of good and evil. Just don't worry about what God said. Take it. And so what does she do? She takes it, right? And we know how the story ends, but right after she takes it, what do Adam and Eve do? They eat it together, and then they hide, right? They realize that they're naked, they're full of shame, they make clothes, and they hide in a bush, right? And I think that's exactly what we do. When hurt comes, I don't want to tell you about that story where my wife was followed because I'm scared that what if she gets followed again, okay? I don't want to tell you about all the bad things that have happened in my life. Greg doesn't want to get up here and tell you about his story. He doesn't want to do that. And what we want to do is we want to hide the bad stuff, the ways that we've been hurt, the ways that we have hurt people. But if we want this rescue thing, if we want God to come and save our hearts in our present battle, not just the hope of heaven, we have to be brutally honest. See, true rescue requires brutal honesty. True rescue requires our brutal honesty. It requires us coming out from the shadows and not staying hidden. Okay, a couple verses later, Adam and Eve, God finds them, and they get consequences, and there's consequences for the bad things, but he's going to walk with them. He's going to walk with us for the rest of humanity, right? If we really want that rescue, we have to be brutally honest, and that's hard, right? Maybe it's being brutally honest with our spouse or our kids or our work or our boss, whatever that looks like, but I think the hardest person to be brutally honest with is myself. Is yourself, is you with yourself, because we see the big things that have happened in our life and we say, those are too big, I don't want to deal with them, they hurt too much. And then we completely ignore all of the small things, all the small messages that we heard growing up, all the things about us that we wish weren't true, but they probably are. We want to ignore all of that, and true rescue requires brutal honesty. So that day, the night that Kirsten was going to be messed with, right, that day there was an awesome message from John Eldridge. And it wasn't awesome until it was over. I was mad at him for preaching the message because it was all about the lies and the agreements that we hear, and it was all about how the enemy comes after me, and he was telling us to think about the agreements that you've made and how you live and how the names that you call yourself. And I was like, I've heard this a million times. I'm ready to go and play some basketball with the guys that are here. That's what I was thinking in the middle of the message. And then he got to the end, and he said, I just want to take a minute to pause. I just want to take a minute to let you sit there and just write down the agreements about yourself that you've made. And so I know 2 or 3, I know 4 or 5 or 6 because I've done this before. So I wrote down those ones real quick, and I was like, okay, good, I did it. And God said, wait. He didn't say it wasn't an audible voice or anything like that. Just God said, sit in this for a second. And people started to leave and get up, and I was coming towards the end, and I just started writing. Here's part of what I started writing, the agreements that I've made about me, the names that I call myself. I started writing that I don't try hard enough. It doesn't matter how hard I try, I am not enough. That I deserve all the bad things that happen to me. That my dad getting sick is my fault. That you'll never be more than just a lustful man. That you're a crap husband. That you should quit and not be a youth pastor. They deserve better than you can give. Nobody likes you for who you really are. That you deserve, Jason, all the shameful feelings that you have. Why would anyone ever follow you? The only way people are ever going to follow you is if you're perfect, and you're certainly not that. And then this last one, this one hits me deep because I struggle with guilt so much. I just heard this agreement that I made. I'll always be guilty, and God can't love me as I am. And as I'm writing these things down, I had a big journal, and I kind of wrote small, and I had filled out 2 pages of agreements and names. And as I'm writing them, I'm just sinking lower and lower and lower, and I hate this brutal honesty. And I'm hating myself, I'm despising myself just a little bit more, but true rescue requires brutal honesty. And I think if we were honest with ourselves, and if I gave you a few minutes, you could write down a couple things too. I'm not going to do that because it's weird, right? And I don't want to put that on you, but maybe there's some work to do maybe after this and be brutally honest about the things that you believe about yourself. See, if we want that true rescue, we have to be brutally honest. We have to come out from behind the shadows and know that there's a good shepherd who wants to love on us. And so back in that good shepherd story, Jesus is talking to these Pharisees, but there's a reason why he's talking to them. Okay, he's telling them a story. He's trying to teach them. And at first, I thought that he was mad at the Pharisees, but I think he's coming to go for their hearts. Because here's what had happened before that. Okay, the day before, Jesus had healed a blind man. He put mud in his eyes, and he was no longer blind. The blind man went back to his church, and he said, look, I've been healed, I've been healed. And they called him names, and they cast him out. That's what happens right before Jesus tells this story to the Pharisees. Then he does this. He goes and finds the guy. Verse 35, John chapter 9. Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, and when he found him, he said, do you believe in the Son of Man? Who is he, sir? The man asked. Tell me so that I may believe in him. And Jesus said, you have now seen him. And how powerful would that be? A blind man, somebody says, you've now seen him. It's like the day after. That's powerful. You've now seen him. In fact, he is the one speaking with you. And then the man said, Lord, I believe. And he worshiped him. Jesus said, for judgment I have come into the world, so that the blind man will see, and that those who will see will become blind. Some Pharisees who were with him heard him say this and asked, what, are you blind too? And Jesus said, if you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin, but now you claim you can see and your guilt remains. Okay, very first thing, Jesus goes after the one guy. He goes after his heart and his present circumstances. He's been kicked out. And then he turns around and he starts caring for these Pharisees who've been choosing the wrong thing. They've been choosing to have a good-looking church, to make sure if somebody looks a little bit off, they're going to be kicked out. They've been choosing to have a good-looking church rather than allow the mess and care for people's hearts. And he's calling them out, and he's saying, you've chosen the wrong thing. And it's led you to this place where you're kicking people out and you're not caring for their actually hearts. And guess what? You've become who you've chosen to be because you are who you choose to be. It's not a complicated point. It's my main point. It's what God put on my heart this week is you are who you choose to be. And I think Jesus is fighting for the hearts of these Pharisees because he sees that they've chosen something. And if they knew a little bit more of the truth, that they would choose something differently. And I was thinking about how to best illustrate this and how to see that there's this battle all around us and we can choose to see it and fight it and bring the name of Jesus between us and the attack of the enemy on us. We can choose to see the little things or we cannot. I was figuring out how to illustrate that choice that we have, and I found this movie clip. Check this out.
At last. Welcome, Neil. As you no doubt have guessed, I am Morpheus.
It's an honor to meet you.
No, the honor is mine. Please, come, sit. I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole?
You could say that.
I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neil?
No,
Why not?
because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
I love that scene from The Matrix because it's a made-up story and it's not real, but it speaks to the battle that I find myself in, that I see a world around me and I know it's not right. That line from Morpheus, he says, you're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You believe it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. And you know what it is, it's there, but it's like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. Right? We are living in a battle. We're living in a battle, and the enemy is trying to come after our hearts, and the good shepherd is trying to love on us and care for us. And in this battle, to get the rescue, to get the saving that Jesus talks about, it requires brutal honesty. And so I left you somewhere in a story. I just filled out 2 pages of things that I call myself, of agreements that I've made, of names that I say about me. And I just sat there, as I'm sinking lower and lower, I'm thinking, God, this is how I see myself. Is this how you see me? Is this how you see me? And minutes went by where I just heard nothing. And then it wasn't a physical act. It wasn't like something happened over the book. But God just took everything that I had wrote, and on top of it, he wrote S-O-N. And I don't know how much you know about my story or how long you've been around here, but at a young age of 10, my dad started suffering with bipolar, and from that time, I said, I'm going to take care of myself. I don't need to be fathered. I don't need to be mentored. I'm going to take care of myself. And this word son, over top of everything that I had heard about myself, it just broke me, and it just filled me with the rescue that I so deeply wanted and needed. And I just decided, a choice that I've decided for a long time, because I know you are who you choose to be. And so here's what I chose in that moment is I'm going to choose to be brutally honest. I'm going to choose to be brutally honest about my life circumstances, about the things that are going on in my life, because I don't want the enemy to have any power in that. I want God to speak to it. So I'm going to choose to be brutally honest. I'm just a 28-year-old guy. I've messed up. I've said the wrong things. I've been late to work. I've been arrested. I've cussed people out. I've had lots of issues with my parents growing up and my dad suffering through bipolar. I've struggled with addictions and pornography and lust. I've hurt people, and I have certainly hurt people, and especially the ones that I'm closest to. but I'm not going to allow my past choices to define me. See, I could be who I've chosen to be and continue to live out of that, or I could choose to be something else. And I choose to live for freedom. And I choose to push for more. And I choose to push for greater. And I choose to put myself second and care for other people. I choose to be brutally honest and say, I think I suck. God, you speak your truth into me. I choose that because you are who you choose to be. And I don't know how you find yourself here today. I don't know what's going on in your world or what's going on in your life, but if you're anything like me, you hear you are who you choose to be, and you replace it with you are who you've chosen to be all of your life, and you are the sum of everything that's happened in your life, and you can't be any different. You can be different. You can push for more. You can lean into the Good Shepherd and the love that he has for you. You are who you choose to be. What will you choose? Jesus, I just thank you for the words that you've spoken over me. God, for how you've helped me to realize that I live in a battle. God, how you've helped me to realize that the enemy is constantly coming after my heart and trying to get in there and worm his way and take away the good things that you do. God, would you help me to be brutally honest with myself, the person it's hardest to be honest with? God, would you help me to see all my flaws and mistakes, not as my damnation, God, but as an opportunity for you to come and save and rescue me in the middle of hard troubles and pull me out. Jesus, would you come and do what only you can do in my hearts and in the hearts of my friends in this room. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Hey, I'm so glad you are here today. I'm so glad we're here in this One Hit Wonders series and what we get to do. This is just a cool day for me. I've experienced a lot of cool things and a lot of cool healing in the past couple weeks, and I hope you get to experience some of that too. Hey, if you have questions about what this place is, about discovery and everything like that, you can go out these doors and you can turn left, and then in the garage there's people who can answer any of your questions. If something struck you today and you need prayer, and there's something, you're in a battle you find yourself in, and you need somebody to pray over it and come after your heart, there's going to be nice people underneath both of these screens to my left and my right who want to pray with you. I'm going to be out by the fireplace. I'd love to meet you and shake your hand and say, hey, if you want to partner with us financially and be a part of this mission and caring for people's hearts, we don't pass a bucket or anything like that. We've got boxes in the back you can do. And before I let you go, I just wanted to say this. I'm so grateful for the men and women who chose to leave England hundreds of years ago. I'm grateful for the men and women who chose to fight for freedom, to be willing to give up their lives in defense of freedom and in defense of liberty. I'm grateful for the people who continue to do that today. And so I just wanted to end by saying happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. You are, yeah, that's good. You are who you choose to be. Now choose.
Goodbye. I was lost with a broken heart. Pick me up.